Hello everyone, my name is Eli Hollingsworth and welcome back to Against the Current, The Chosen YouTube channel, where today we're going to be doing something a little different because as you can see here, we are in Adobe Photoshop and we got a picture here that we're going to try to turn into something that's pretty cool. So if you don't know, kind of on Instagram and on Facebook in the Chosen fan clubs and stuff, I like to post these like pieces of art that are based around the Chosen. I'll find an image like online or something from the Chosen that they post, and I'll just like try to mess around with it a little bit, in Adobe Photoshop, and turn it into some beautiful piece of art. Or at least in my opinion, it's pretty sweet. And in other people's opinion too, a lot of people say that they like the stuff that I make. I've been asked before, what's the process behind how I make these photos? And I wasn't gonna do a type of video like this, but someone asked, and they were like, "How did you make these?" And I decided, you know what? Let's just do a tutorial and just give you the kind of my thought process behind some of these pictures that I do. So today we have an image. This is from the Chosen's Facebook, and I usually work in a resolution of, and again, this is in Adobe Photoshop. So I work in a resolution of about I do 3200 by 4000, I believe is the resolution. Yeah, something like that. I think it's 3200 by 4000 resolution. So it's like it's taller than a square, but it's not vertical, so it can still fit in the gram, and it's usually pretty like format friendly for a lot of different format types. So just kind of working in this range really is what's preferred for me, because I like to be a little bit taller than just a square image for the gram, Instagram. So today we have this picture, and let's start by masking Jesus out. So or Jonathan, I guess. So we're gonna go here, and you can use the pen tool, and you can kind of like what most of the more experienced people do is they kind of will use the pen tool, and then that allows you to kind of go in and like mask out individually, manually what you want to do. I really prefer not to use the pen tool. I will if I have enough time, but usually I'm like today I'm probably gonna try to work a little bit quicker on this. Like not spend too much time on just the general mask of Jesus, and I'm not too picky with it. But I will go to here. You see, you hit the object selector, and you go to select subject, and we're gonna do cloud detailed results. I always use that version because it just gives you just a little bit more detail in the mask. So we're gonna use select subject, and Adobe's AI is very advanced and well done. So it will give you a pretty like usable mask usually all the time. So then we can go to select and mask, see what the mask they gave us and how we can kind of tweak it up and kind of refine it a little bit. Because today we're gonna do, I'm thinking something with Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Google will be our best friend for that. So see right here, it didn't get his foot. That's no problem for us, since we will go to the brush tool. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna paint into the mask here. And I'm by no means a professional at Adobe Photoshop. I'm not like the greatest Photoshop master in the world. So there might be some people who might see this video who maybe are better than me at Adobe Photoshop, and they're like, "Why do you do this like this?" or blah blah blah. Like I'm not a master. I'm not like the most professional Adobe Photoshop user in the world, but I think for what I do, I'm competent in what I do. I've only been using it for about a year now. Also, we have Dallas in here. We don't want Dallas for this picture. Sorry, D dog. We're just gonna get rid of all of this. We can kind of tweak it later, maybe. We don't need any of this. Just Jonathan, just Jesus. That's really all we need. Because you can I just scroll through what I usually do to find inspiration, or I have like maybe a vague idea of what I want to do. Like I'll be like, what do I like? I'll be like, maybe I want to do this, and then I'll scroll through kind of the Chosen's Facebook, find a picture that I think will be suitable, and then the masking begins, and I'll mask Jesus out. So here we go. We have Jesus here, and now Google will be our best friend, and we can just Google. So I just look up a bunch of 4K wallpapers. That's really what I use for my background images. I just try to find a pretty picture of the kind of the environment that I'd like to use. We'll just drop in this picture of a beautiful hilly garden and such. And I'd say depends on what picture you're trying to make, but I'd say for if you want to have a very pleasing, look to your pictures. If you notice in the stuff that I post, I really only do like nighttime or like sunset, sunrise, like something around there. Because like first of all, like middle of the day, everyone knows famously worst time to even photograph anything. But this looks pretty good right here. I like this picture, and we're going to. Here's our Jesus. Here is our picture. We're going to. This is, if you haven't guessed, the Garden of Gethsemane, as I said earlier. So we're gonna have to put Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. So since I'm pleased with that layer mask, I'm going to go and apply that, and we're going to put Jesus right in here to the Garden of Gethsemane, and somewhere around there looks pretty good. I don't center my subjects a lot of the time, and that's just mainly because I don't know. I just like to maybe put them a little bit off centered a lot of times, just because I don't know, like it. I don't usually put them directly in the center. So we got Jesus there, and I've got some brushes here that are very helpful since the Chosen takes place in the 1st century, so there's a lot of grass everywhere. So I've got some grass brushes here. So then we can just go in here and kind of erase the parts of Jesus that we don't want in here, that are obviously being covered up by all this kind of foliage here. And that looks about right. Is that so? Right now on Jesus we have one light source, that is the moon, that is casting light upon Jesus right now. And I usually like to add at least 2 light sources. So I think it'd be nice to have a torch. So we're just gonna go onto Google and just look up just a random torch, just like HD transparent, very simple, not anything too fancy. I just like will find a free image online and just drop that in there. See, there's our little torch. And Jesus is not setting the Garden of Gethsemane on fire. Don't worry. But just kind of set that in there. We're just going to put this in because Jesus needs to see. So this torch will kind of be lying in the grass here. Maybe I'll redo some of that fire myself. But look at Jesus. Does he look like he belongs here? No, he looks like he's in a completely different environment. So what do? We go to layer, new adjustment layer, color balance. We're gonna color balance Jesus because the colors are not right. So obviously we're gonna need a whole lot of blue here, just a whole lot more blue because this is a very nighttime scenery. So we're gonna make the cyan, a lot more cyan in there. Yeah, that looks maybe about good. And you're thinking, no, it doesn't. It doesn't look that. I mean, it looks a little better, but not much. So we're going to go to exposure layer, and we're going to darken Jesus because this is a very dark scene, and Jesus needs to be a whole lot more darker. So just gonna invert that, and we're going to just paint a whole lot of shadows on Jesus. He needs a whole lot because he is very dark right now. Because there's obviously not a whole lot of light at all coming down upon him. It's just going to make him a whole lot darker. Actually, now this is probably the most time-consuming part of any work that I do, is just shadows. Painting these shadows on until they look right. Because this right now does not look right. I didn't like the way I did that. So we're just going to kind of go in and subtly paint in a lot of different shadows. Okay, so, I mean, those shadows aren't perfect, but we can always fix them later, obviously. So, now we're going to add a whole lot more... Oh, that's the wrong thing. We're going to add a whole lot more blue kind of light on Jesus. And also, this garden is looking pretty dark, considering how bright the moon is going to be. So we're gonna add a whole lot more exposure here. That moon is going to be very bright, like pretty stinking bright. So let's just go up here, and we're going to just brighten up that moon like a whole lot. Like, it's gonna be blinding, like almost like the sun. Like that's a pretty bright moon. And then we're just gonna kind of go in and paint kind of on the ground here. Things are going to be a whole lot more bright as well. Just because, you know, the moon is now very much brighter. So that means this ground area right here is a lot brighter as well. So just kind of like a tip for if you're wanting to get into doing your own pictures like this. Again, not as if I'm in any position to have like a whole lot of authority, since I've only been working for or using Photoshop for a year myself. But if you are someone who's looking to get in, and if you came here to this video because you do like what I've posted and kind of want to hear my advice, then I would say just really think about how light works. You know, go outside, look at how light interacts with different objects and how it kind of like bounces off of things and how certain things just all come together. Like it's not super hard, but you have to have a real understanding of, yeah, just how light works on things, how light moves and it connects us all. Sorry, I got kind of sappy there for a second. Yeah, I would say you just like a big thing is just knowing how light works, and not as much like having super artistic ability, although there is some of that in there. Just like go outside, look at how light reflects off of things. There you go. I'm not super coherent while I'm working because I'm working, so there you go. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this color balance needs less cyan on these midtones. Okay, this is not looking. We'll come back to Jesus later. I'm not gonna worry about that too much right now. We're gonna come back to Jesus in a little bit. Sorry, Jesus. But right now we have a torch to worry about. I just accidentally made Jesus disappear. Right now we have a torch to worry about. We're not gonna worry about Jesus right now. Jesus, we will come back to you later. Right now we have a torch. And this torch needs some work because it doesn't look like it belongs. Because it doesn't belong. So we're going to just go in here real quick and we're going to paint in as per usual some grass. And so now we're just going to add, since obviously that torch is a very bright torch, it's casting light on all of the grass around it, so we got to make this a whole lot brighter. And we're just going to add in some levels here. I love levels because you can use them for a lot of different things. That looks about maybe right. See how it looks. And yeah, there's a pretty big area around this torch. And we might, if the moon is casting so much light, then how is the torch? Why is the torch needed if the moon is so bright? So we're just gonna, I don't know if I love that. Make that a little smaller. Blend if. I think this is what's called, blend if. Yeah, right. I don't know what it's called. I just use it. Okay. And we're just gonna make this. That looks fine. Looks good. I like that. And so since this torch is casting so much light, such a bright boy, we could add some glow to this torch. Alright, so now that we have this torch next to Jesus that's casting so much light upon the environment, Obviously, it's going to be casting some light on Jesus. Yeah, just going to be sitting with a torch that's not accurately there. Alright, and now, since it's starting to look a little bit better, we're going to add some highlights, more highlights to this. When levels doesn't always do its job 100,000% as much as I want it to. A lot of times I'll go to hue and saturation. What you want to do is click colorize, find kind of the color that you want to do for your highlight, and saturation all the way up, and then just turn the lightness like almost all the way up, and then you can get this kind of extra little highlight here. It just makes it look just that little bit. Alright, now that's starting to look a little bit close to realistic there, so just gonna erase that and add some shadow around Jesus, and after that I think we might be pretty much done. Oh, and this thing wouldn't be complete without dropping in some particle effects just to give it that extra little texture. So we're just gonna add in some particle effects. Oh, and maybe drop in Chosen logo in there. Actually, you know what would be cool is to add in, before we move on to our final step, which you'll find out in a second, the secret ingredient. Wouldn't it be cool to kind of add, since we're kind of like at the Garden of Gethsemane and the people are coming for Jesus, wouldn't it be cool to like add in kind of a torch in the distance? It's kind of like, you know, like the Romans coming to arrest Jesus. And Jesus looks pretty happy right now. I realize that, okay? But he's not, okay? This is when he's kind of accepting his fate. And of course, for our Chosen logo up here, we gotta make it a little bit more visible. Change the color of it a little bit. What color should we make it? Maybe orange, because it's obviously fire. Alright, and now we're going to apply kind of our final little bag of tricks here, and that is a camera raw filter. And what a camera raw filter will do is kind of really allow us to play around with a lot of the different settings and just kind of make it better overall. It's one of my favorite things to do. Any edit that I do is just kind of add that camera raw filter. And there you go. This probably isn't one of my favorites that I've ever done. Like, it's probably not in my top like 5 things I've ever done. But I think I don't know if I love this either. Now that I've done it, I'm like, but now you kind of see the thought process behind my edits that I do and my pictures that I make. So I hope you enjoyed watching because it was a long process, and I hope you enjoyed watching my kind of process behind these pictures that I make, and I hope you enjoyed the picture. Now that you've probably seen it on wherever I posted it. And if you like this video, then you want to see more videos like this, then make sure to comment down below and let me know that, because I'd really appreciate it. And make sure to subscribe to Against the Current and turn on notifications. Listen to my podcast if you want to hear my thoughts on the actual Chosen show itself. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.
I was one way.